I Capitoline museums are a group of art and archaeological museums in Piazza del Campidoglio, on top of the Capitoline Hill in Rome, Italy. The historic seats of the museums are Palazzo dei Conservatori and Palazzo Nuovo, facing on the central trapezoidal piazza in a plan conceived by Michelangelo in 1536 and executed over a period of more than 400 years. The history of the museum can be traced to 1471, when Pope Sixtus IV donated a collection of important ancient bronzes to the people of Rome and located them on the Capitoline Hill. Since then, the museum's collection has grown to include many ancient Roman statues, inscriptions, and other artifacts, a collection of medieval and Renaissance art, and collections of jewels, coins, and other items. The museums are owned and operated by the municipality of Rome. The statue of a mounted rider in the center of the piazza is of Emperor Marcus Aurelius. It is a copy, the original being housed on site in the Capitoline Museum. Opened to the public in 1734 under Clement XII, the Capitoline Museums are considered one of the oldest museums in the world, understood as a place where art could be enjoyed by all and not only by the owners. The Capitoline Museums are a must for an in-depth knowledge of Rome. The museums are in Piazza del Campidoglio, a very interesting square in its own right since it was designed by Michelangelo. The museums get the name from the Capitoline, the smallest of the hills in the city, not far from the Roman Forum, from which you can enjoy some spectacular views. They are responsible for housing the history of ancient Rome, and the collection is undoubtedly one of the top attractions in the city. Some of ancient Rome's most important buildings used to stand in the exact spot where the Capitoline Museums stand today. The Temple of Capitoline Jupiter, the most significant temple in the ancient city, and the Temple of Juno Moneta, or Tabularium were there. You will have the opportunity to see many of the remains as you walk around the different galleries and exhibitions. The history of the Capitoline Museum started when Pope Sixtus IV decided to bring an end to the pillage of antiques in Rome. In addition to prohibiting exportation of items, in 1471 he created a museum to preserve the city's archaeological heritage. It was created in the Palazzo dei Conservatori, Palace of the Conservators, and the Pope donated a group of bronze sculptures that had previously been stored in the Lateran Palace. It included the famous Capitoline wolf, and this is how the collection began. At the time, it was the world's finest collection of art from ancient Rome, and it has continued to grow ever since. Continuous archaeological excavations meant that new findings were added to the existing collection, and this was bolstered by donations from popes and other great patrons. In fact, the collection grew so significantly that a new storage space had to be built. Michelangelo was commissioned to design a new building next to the Palazzo dei Conservatori and restore the surrounding area. The greatest architect of the time therefore designed the incredibly detailed, almost trapezoidal Piazza del Campidoglio. He also designed the Palazzo Nuovo, new palace, came up with the idea for a new facade for the Palazzo dei Conservatori and added a dual staircase to improve access to the Palazzo del Senatore, senatorial palace, the main building in the square and now the town hall. However, the work progressed so slowly that Michelangelo died before it was completed. His plans continued after his death, and the work was finally completed in the 17th century. The Palazzo Nuovo was opened in 1654, and it was a great relief to have a new space for the huge number of works of art that were in the Palazzo dei Conservatori. The two buildings are linked by an underground gallery, Galleria Lapidaria, that was built in the 20th century. They were officially opened to the public during the papacy of Pope Clement XII in 1734. During the mid-18th century, Pope Benedict XIV continued to grow the Capitoline Museum's collections. He created the Pinacoteca Capitolina, Capitoline Picture Gallery, when he acquired a number of private collections from the Sacchetti and Pio families. The most recent addition to the Capitoline Museums was made in 1997 when some items were moved to an old thermal power station, the Centrale Monte Martini. It's a great example of how a disused space can be put to use and set up for cultural purposes. The contrast between the industrial environment and the classic sculptures is a real hit. The building is around 3 kilometers from the museums, and concerts and a number of other different activities are held there.